I still remember the moment that question first crossed my mind. How could anyone survive in a time when something as small as a toothache could spiral into a living nightmare? It sounds almost absurd from where we stand today. A mild discomfort, a sensitivity to cold, a dull pulse in the jaw, things we'd solve with a simple visit to the dentist. But as I began to dig deeper into life around 1200 AD, I realized that what we call minor pain today once carried the weight of dread, fear, and inevitability. Because back then, a toothache didn't just hurt. It warned you. At first, it would start quietly. A faint throbbing that came and went. Easy to ignore. People continued with their daily lives, working, eating, surviving, hoping it would simply disappear. But it never did. Without any real understanding of bacteria, decay, or infection, there was no concept of early treatment. No brushing routines as we know them today. No fluoride. No preventive care. And slowly, that small pain began to grow. The infection would deepen inside the tooth, spreading into the gums. Swelling followed. Then came the heat, that pulsing, relentless pressure that made it impossible to sleep. Eating became torture. Even speaking could trigger waves of agony. In some cases, fever would set in, clear signs that the body was fighting something far more dangerous than just a bad tooth. That's when reality would hit. There was only one solution left: extraction. But this wasn't a clinical procedure in a sterile room. There were no gloves, no anesthesia, no precise instruments designed for comfort. What awaited was something far more brutal, something public. I imagine myself standing in a crowded square, surrounded by unfamiliar faces. The air is thick with tension. People gather not just out of concern, but curiosity. Because this wasn't just treatment, it was spectacle. The person responsible? Not always a trained healer. Often a barber surgeon or even someone with basic tools and experience. Their instruments were crude: metal pliers, forceps, sometimes even tools adapted from blacksmith work. And then it begins. No numbing. No sedation. Just raw, unfiltered pain. The moment the tool grips the tooth, everything changes. The body reacts instantly. Muscles tense. Hands grip whatever they can. Sometimes multiple people had to hold the patient down to prevent movement. Because once the pulling started, there was no turning back. The sound alone must have been unforgettable, a deep, cracking resistance as the tooth fought against being torn from bone. And when it finally gave in, relief didn't come immediately. Blood followed. Shock followed. And in many cases, complications followed. Infection. Worsening pain. Even death. As I continued exploring this reality, something became even more striking to me. This wasn't just about physical suffering. It was psychological. Imagine living every day knowing that a simple toothache could lead you to that moment. The anxiety alone would be overwhelming. The constant fear of reaching a point where the pain becomes so unbearable that you'd willingly face something just as terrifying, just for a chance at relief. And what's even more surprising, much of this suffering was preventable, at least by today's standards. Back then, oral hygiene was almost non-existent. There was no understanding of how daily habits could protect the teeth. Food particles, sugars, and bacteria accumulated over time, silently destroying enamel and creating the perfect environment for decay. People didn't fail because they didn't care. They simply didn't know. And that's where I started to see a powerful connection to today. Because even now, with all the knowledge we have, many people still ignore the early signs. That slight sensitivity. That occasional discomfort. That bleeding gum. It's easy to delay action when the pain isn't constant. Easy to assume it will pass. But history has already shown us where that path leads. And if there's one thing I've learned through this journey, it's that prevention changes everything. That's why, if you've ever experienced tooth pain or want to avoid reaching that extreme point, We've left a practical guide in the first link in the description. It's designed to help you understand what's happening in your mouth and how to act before things get out of control. Click and take a look. Because the difference between a manageable issue and a nightmare often comes down to timing. As I kept uncovering more about life in that era, another layer became impossible to ignore. Dental health wasn't just about pain, it was social. Your teeth told a story. Missing teeth, darkened enamel, visible infections, they affected how people were perceived. Eating in public could be embarrassing. Speaking could reveal signs of decay. Over time, these issues shaped not only physical well-being, but confidence, social interaction, and even opportunities. And in a way, that hasn't completely changed. Even today, oral health still plays a huge role in how we feel about ourselves and how we present ourselves to the world. The difference is, we now have the tools to control that outcome. But only if we use them. If you're currently dealing with discomfort, sensitivity, or recurring dental pain, there's also a method available in the first link in the description and in the pinned comment. It's built for people who want an accessible way to take care of their oral health before things escalate into something more serious. Don't ignore the signs. Check it out while it's still early. Because what once led people to endure unbearable suffering in a public square can now be avoided with knowledge and simple action. Today, dentistry has evolved into something those in the Middle Ages could never have imagined. Local anesthesia, sterile environments, advanced imaging, and minimally invasive techniques have transformed what used to be a traumatic experience into something controlled, safe, and often painless. Scientific studies have consistently shown that early intervention, combined with proper hygiene, can prevent the vast majority of severe dental issues. Brushing with fluoride toothpaste, flossing regularly, and addressing small problems before they grow are not just recommendations. They are proven strategies that protect both health and quality of life. Which brings me back to where I started. That question. How did people endure it? The truth is, many didn't. And those who did carried the marks of that experience for the rest of their lives. But you don't have to. Today, pain doesn't need to be a warning you ignore. It can be a signal you understand, and act on before it's too late. And if this journey through the past opened your eyes even a little, then make sure you subscribe to the channel. Because here, we don't just explore history. We uncover the lessons hidden inside it, lessons that can change how you live, starting now.